Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started because I can't. Are you in Central Time or Eastern Time?
Eastern.
You are in Eastern. Okay, so we're gonna go
Yeah.
super, super fast in like the best way because obviously I know it's a little bit later for you. So I just want you to start with your story and how you found it works and like did you wait? Did you just like join in right away? Like how did you find it? Just tell us all the things.
Okay, so in the fall, after I had my baby, I had seen a friend that was posting about the skinny coffee, and I'm like, whatever, I need to try something new. So I ordered some from her. Honestly, did not get like any information on it at all. I just saw she was losing weight, so I was like, give me some of that. So I ordered skinny coffee, and then a month later, I was like, I love this so much. Morgan started popping up in all my reels and like everything. Morgan was not even this girl's enroller connected. Like actually, I think Shay was this girl's enroller and stuff, but Morgan was like popping up all the time in my reels and in my newsfeed. I did not even follow her. She was like just popping up out of everywhere, which was so crazy to me. And then I realized that I made the connection, like they were doing the same things, but Morgan was just always there. Like she was pushing the business so much, working her business so consistent. And I was like, I want to do this. I want what she has in this business and the financial freedom that they have. If she can do it, I can get enough money for diapers, formula, maybe a car payment here and there, that kind of stuff. So I was a stay-at-home mom at the time, and I was a new stay-at-home mom. So I was teaching before that and decided last minute, like the last week that I could have turned in my resignation, that I was going to stay home. I had gone back and forth all summer. Before that, it was like not even a thought to be a stay-at-home mom. I didn't think we could do it financially, but there was just something in me where it ran our budget, and I'm like, I think we can do it. So we did it. And then it's crazy how God just like provides this other opportunity. I'm like, it'd be kind of cool to do something on the side. I don't want like a whole lot of commitment. I don't want a ton of time because my whole point is I want to see my daughter grow. So I'm kind of all over the place, but I saw Morgan and I saw all of that, and I'm like, I can do this too. So I talked to her a little bit about it, and I think I waited about a week before like I fully committed. But so I was a loyal customer, still a loyal customer under my friend, because like it was Christmas cash time. I didn't want her to like lose her slot or anything. So I stayed being a loyal customer under her for 2 more months, actually 3 more months after that, because I forgot to cancel it. And then I joined under Morgan as a distributor just because I saw her fire, and I just knew that that was someone I wanted to be led by. So yeah, that's a little bit of my story. And I've been in for what, like 6 months now, which has gone really fast, but it's been really fun.
Okay, wait, you taught? How did I not know this? I was a
Yeah,
teacher turned stay-at-home mom. What'd you teach?
third grade.
Oh, you're an elementary teacher. Okay, so I taught 4 through 12 band. So basically any
Okay.
band that I could teach. But you said that and I was like, wait,
Yeah.
me too. And I was
My
like,
first 2 years were COVID.
oh yeah, you started teaching in that. See, I got out right
Yeah.
before it started. So
That
I
was my
was
first year of teaching, was the year that we sent kids home with all their stuff stuffed in their book bags because we weren't
oh
sure if they were coming back or not.
oh my gosh. Well,
Oh
bless your
yeah.
heart. Oh my goodness. But either way, we are glad to have you here. And speaking of your story, you just earned your success bonus, which is incredible. And you also were just announced as a top enroller on our team, like AKA 17 loyal customers in
I'm
one
still
week.
in shock.
I remember asking you, and you were like, I don't know how many I've enrolled. I was like, well, that's a good problem to have. But like, oh my gosh, where the heck are you getting them from? Like, that's incredible. I mean, I think my top, I'm trying to think. I feel like I did like 4 to 5 a week 1 month. That was it. But I'd never like gotten to double digits. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, what is she doing? So tell us your tips for LCs.
Okay, so for LCs, honestly, my tips for all things is just be consistent, show up, be the person that is continually posting. That doesn't mean like you're shoving it down people's throats. Consistency doesn't mean like constant products. Consistency means showing your face. Whether that's here's what my kids are doing today, or here's my favorite Target find, or anything like that kind of stuff. Stay consistent and stay like in the view of people, so people like get invested in your life, and then they see the products and they're like, oh my gosh, this has worked for her. This is what she looked like post baby, and 6 months now she looks like this. I kind of want to know how she did that. And it's not necessarily that they're like so invested in the product, but they're invested in you as well. Of course, you're going to have people super invested in your product, but people also like, they join things because of who they're joining with. And it's like building the relationship with them, even if it's people you don't even know. So it's staying consistent, staying there, staying present. Has just really been very noticeable for me. Like I noticed the weeks that I'm not consistent, like this last week, if you haven't noticed, I have been like MIA in the chats because we are teething at this house and it's just survival mode. And the consistency is so important. And I just told my husband today, I'm like, I need like work time. I took an hour. I'm like, I need an hour to get through this, because like we had 1 week of not being consistent, and I'm like, I'm not enrolled since like Thursday, which is crazy to me, but like I want to keep that fire going. So yeah, the consistency is so important because people see that. And I've had people message me that have messaged me about it when I had first joined the business and ghosted me. Now they're messaging me again, interested again. So even if you think like it's not paying off, it will eventually like show the fruits of that.
Yes, yes, yes. A million times yes. And look at Vanessa, she's on here with the baby. I'm like, look at her. She's showing up. I'm like, let's go. Yeah, and I love that because it truly is like, I mean, and I feel like it's exactly that. And obviously I'm not like here to judge your friendship, but like you joined with a friend, or sorry, you joined with Morgan over a friend. And so that I feel like speaks volumes. And that was a similar story to me. And I would not say that the person I could have joined with was a friend by any means, but it was an acquaintance in high school. But I like felt so bad because I like asked her all the questions because I didn't know if Morgan would be honest with me. And then I was like, yeah, I just signed up with Morgan. It was so bad, especially now being a distributor. I'm like, oh, that sucked. But I genuinely felt so much more comfortable with Morgan. I felt like she was so genuine when she was interacting with me. Like, obviously, I was teaching at the time, and I was like posting about my band contest and my students. And she's like, oh my gosh, your students must be so lucky to have you. Like, I looked up what this meant. This was really good. Like, she was just so intentional. And I didn't join It Works because she sold It Works. I joined It Works because of what she did on her story. And so I think that I'm really glad that you said that. And I suppose on that same note, where do you feel like you get your distributors from? Because obviously we can't just send customers, we need people to do what we do and share these products. So where do you feel like you get them from, or do they come to you? Because obviously you're saying like, I haven't sent a customer since Thursday, and that is an awesome problem to have, to be like, wait, what? Why haven't I signed? That's an awesome problem to have. So where do you get your distributors, or do they come to you?
So distributors are a little bit more tricky for me. I'm newer in the business. Like I've only been in the business for 6 months now. So that kind of relationship and consistency, I truly believe is still developing, because when you're a distributor, that takes a little bit more commitment than just being a customer. So people want to see your commitment before they try to join your team too. And I truly believe that that's going to happen for me probably throughout this next year too. Honestly, the first girl I ever signed in this business is no longer with me, and I've only been here 6 months, but my team has grown like crazy. Obviously, I earned my success bonus, so my team has been growing and their teams are growing. Just since the beginning of the year. And I remember telling Morgan like in December, like, I just can't sign a distributor. That's just what it is. Like my first one was already wanting to quit. I'm like, I just can't sign distributors. And my husband was the only other one under me, which is technically me because he doesn't really run this account. But I just remember telling her that, and she's like, stop saying that. You're literally just speaking that over you. She said, you're like speaking that negativity into it, and you're believing that you can't sign a distributor. And that's just you're kind of making an excuse out of it. I love Red Morgan. Red Morgan and I relate so well because I need called out in those moments. And I was just like, oh, wow, yeah, she's right. So I changed my mindset. I just dove more into the professional development books and podcasts. And if you're not in that is, I know it's in our 6 list, and I know that that's probably like at the bottom of everyone's 6 list, but that is such an important thing, because if you can't lead well, who's going to want to sign up under you? And if people don't see you growing as a person, as a leader, why would they want to join your team? I mean, it's just kind of that kind of scenario when you have maybe somebody like Morgan that you see constantly, maybe you don't even know her. And you're like, well, I would probably join under this person who's a strong leader, who I know is going to give me that support, going to give me the tasks that you would want to join under, instead of somebody who you're like, well, I kind of see them here and there talking about it. But staying consistent in your development, in your professional development and personal development, all that kind of stuff is so important when it comes to signing distributors, because when you sign a distributor, you don't want them just to be here for like 2 months, excited about it, and then quit. You want somebody that's going to stick with you, somebody that you can help train, that you can teach. And even if you're new in the business, that doesn't mean that you can't sign distributors and you can't train distributors. I felt like that. Like I was shaking when I met with my first distributor because she was local. Like I was so nervous because I'm like, I do not feel equipped to teach her how to run this business when I'm only just like a month and a half in. And honestly, I failed her in so many ways, but I do think that we have such a good training in place. Like if you go into the Gold Crushers Vault, we have it all right there. And if you stick with that consistently, and if you stick with sending them training videos, then they will learn. And I've learned so much from my first distributor now with my other 3 girls that are under me, and helping them train people under them, that it's so important to utilize those training videos and to go into the Dare to Be Diamond and utilize those training videos too. That was a little sidetrack, but signing distributors, stay consistent, show your face, talk about what this business is doing for you. Like talk about when you earn bonuses, talk about even if you just earn a $50 bonus, like $50 in a week is a can of formula. You know what I mean? That's that kind of stuff. So be relatable, say exactly what it pays for. Show your car when you're filling up your gas, because that's super relatable for people right now, because gas is expensive and it's expensive to go anywhere. So just show what the business is paying for, and people want to join, even if they can only make an extra $50. That's better than not having an extra $50, you know?
I love every bit of that. I was like literally in my head being like, okay, make sure you mention that. Make sure you mention that. Make sure you mention that. I was like, wait, I'm going to forget all this. Okay. So
so many rabbit trails. You can like snap me back in.
I know. Well, no, it was so good, but I was like, oh, like, I want to see something. Like, oh, I want to see that. But I'm like, nope, because I hate when people interrupt me. So I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, go for it.
No, so you were talking about the personal development, and like, honestly, I literally thought personal development was for crazy people. I did. Like, I was like, this is so dumb. I'm not doing that. And then I finally did it, and I was like, oh, this actually is really helpful. And so like, I guess with that, what I wanted to mention though, is like, know what's most impactful for you, because like, I am so like notes orientated and very green that like podcasts don't do it for me in this time of life. Or like, I should say more audible, maybe. A podcast, I'm okay because it's more talking and it's not like as intense as like quote reading a book, but like reading a book for me is like my thing right now, because I get up before my son and that's when I do my personal development, and I read a chapter of a book and that's it. That might be like 5 pages, it might be like 20, kind of depends on the day. I fit it in whenever I can, but Audible is just like not for me right now, because I can't process like what's actually being said, or then I have to go back and like listen to it, and then I'm trying to write it down and I'm doing laundry, and it's just not my thing. So podcasts are good, but like know what actually is benefiting you, because if you're sitting here trying to do 5 gajillion things and you're listening to this but you're not actually listening, well, it's not actually doing anything for you. And along with that same tip is, if you're reading a book, because just for example, because I know it right off the top of my head, The Last Arrow is a book that Morgan is obsessed with. Okay, we did it in leader chat a long time ago. I read it and I was like, okay, like it just did not hit for me. And obviously I read it as a group, and we finished it, and it's a good book, but it was just, I would not like go recommend that to somebody, but it was not for my season of life, and so I was reading this book and Morgan was like, what are you doing for self-development? And I was like, I'm reading this book, but it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of meh right now, it's not speaking to me. She's like, stop the book. And I was like, but I have to finish the book. Like I can't stop the book, because I'm so just like, I have to finish the book. And she's like, Brooke, if it is not serving you, stop the book. And so that's what I wanted to like hit on about self-development. Like, do self-development, but if it's not hitting you, don't do it. And like you always talked about how like Red Morgan relates to you. I'm very yellow. And so like I can't have that bluntness. Like she was like very blunt with me just like a couple of weeks ago. And it was in a loving way. And I was able to like take the red out and put like her yellow heart and in there and it was okay. But like I know there's people that listen to like the reddest of reds on podcasts, on leaders in the company, on like other things. And I'm like, huh, not my thing. And that's okay because I know like what works for me and what's going to help. And so I just wanted to hit on that because I feel like sometimes they're like, oh, well, maybe I need to be called on. Maybe I need to do this. And like Grace and I were at retreat and obviously I'm very yellow. And so I'm like, oh, well, you can do this. Like, let's just try this. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm a teacher, you know, like, and if you're a teacher, that's okay too. But like, I just have like this like very soft, like heart in that sense. And we got to retreat and Grace was talking to Kelsey and Kelsey was like, get your crap together, Grace, like do this, do that. And I was like, oh my gosh. And Grace is a yellow red. So she's a very like weird combination, but she was like, oh my gosh, like, yep, that's what I needed. And I was like, okay. And so I'm working on like being more blunt, but it's really just like knowing your strengths, but also knowing like if this book isn't serving you or this personal development or this podcast isn't serving you, like just stop it. So that was my tangent, but I was like, I got to hit on that because it was such a like mind-blowing thing for me when Morgan first said that. And I still don't like not finishing the books, but I like when personal development actually hits and I read something and I'm like, oh dang, that's good. I'm like, oh, I can apply that here, and here and whatever. And it usually applies outside of the business too, which is really obviously beneficial. So because we got off topic here. If we I'm reading and I'm not processing, sorry, brain.
That's okay.
That was like I don't even know what happened. How do you feel like reels, because you kind of touched on stories, which I very much agree with how important they are, but how do you feel like reels, I guess, and somewhat your stories coincide with enrollments? Because obviously we've been talking about consistency, oh my gosh, tonight and how important that is. But do you feel like it's the same with reels and kind of like how do you approach your reels of like, are you doing ones that are kind of like to your brand? Are you doing like business ones? Like kind of how are you doing those, I guess, if you can kind of explain it.
My world was a little bit rocked today with reels, with the fact I follow that Brock something that's like a reels expert on Instagram. And basically he posted a reel today about like all the things you shouldn't do like for your brand. And I'm like, well, like 3 of those are me. So I kind of need to rebrand myself. I'm like, well, it's been working like fairly decently for me. But anyways, so like he was saying, like if you're like niche or however you say that is being a mom, like that's not unique enough. Get more specific kind of thing. And that's where I'm like, I just do a lot of mom things or just funny stuff here and there. But when it comes to reels, I think they are so important. They are so uncomfortable at times, but they are so important. Just do them. There's no fancy, perfect method. Just do it. I think everyone gets so caught up in the fact of, I need to have a perfect background. My kids need to be super happy and content for me to be able to do it. Most of the time, I either have a sleeping baby because I'm like, well, I've got a couple audios saved. I'm going to try to do these while she's asleep. And that I'm literally holding her during it. Or she's running around like a maniac in her walker behind me. Just do it. That's really all I have to say about reels. Do them because they matter. Stay consistent with them, like at the road rally, which I know the algorithm is forever changing, but I forget who it was, but one of the girls that was speaking, she mentioned that she gets so much success from her reels, TikToks, Facebook reels too, because she's so consistent with them. She'll post 2 to 3 in the morning and 1 in the evening, and she gets consistent views all the time. And I think that is also important. I know I say consistency, but like I say consistency all the time, but it's so important because that's how people see you. That's how social media works. Social media works for you when you're consistent with it. So if you post once every 3 days or once a week, you're not going to be the first thing people are going to see when they open their phone. That's just how Facebook works, how Instagram works, TikTok, all of the things. You need to stay consistent and they will show your things more. And I've just learned that because I've run like social media accounts for other friends' businesses. And I have a friend that does marketing herself too. So I've just learned a lot through that. And I just was blessed to have those opportunities before even joining the business, to have a pretty decent understanding on social media. It is constantly changing. So it's important that you follow people that know what they're talking about and that can just, even like a quick reel. I was just scrolling through my Instagram before our meeting tonight, and I saw his reel about that. And like, that was something really fast. It was like a 2-second thing. It's not like you need to go and find a massive TED talk about reels or like something about that. Like, just scroll through and follow the right people, and they'll teach you how to brand yourself. They will teach you what is trending, and it's just doing it. Doing it is what matters. And you don't have to have every perfect scenario. Yes, it's great if you can take time like Morgan does. And like Morgan always has like very put together reels, but I promise you, she probably does not feel like that as she's doing them. She's rushing around, keeping a baby content, all of that kind of stuff. And if you feel that way, that's fine too. And just do your best, but it just matters more that you're doing them. I got like recommended on Facebook or something last week, or I got a notification that I could start getting paid for my reels too. So that's really cool, because I didn't think I was getting enough views for that. I never had anything like Tessie's had where they've gone to like hundreds of thousands of views. My most is probably at like 18,000, but obviously like my consistency is showing, and Facebook notices those things. So I mean, like, you only make like 40 cents on every 1,000 view, but it's like, that's actually pretty cool that Facebook notices the fact that you're consistent, like with reels and stuff like that. So if Facebook is noticing that, obviously they're going to show your reels more because it benefits them.
I had something I was going to say to all of that, and it literally escaped me. And so I don't even know. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I literally had it, and I was like, okay, she's almost done. She's almost done. Get ready. Get ready. And I was like,
Mom brain, story of my life. I have to like write 700 things down a day.
I should have wrote it. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Okay, well, if I think of it before we get off, I'll say it. But I love everything about it, because you're just like, just do it. And like, there was one reel that I did on TikTok before Facebook and Instagram had reels, or whatever you want to call all of the videos. And it was literally one with Granger, and it was I can't even remember the song, but it has like instrumental stuff, instrumental, and then it just stops. And so you love on your baby a ton until the music stops, and then you see what they do. And it went like, well, for me, viral on TikTok. I get like 50-some thousand views. I was like, it was just a cute little video with my baby. And
That's
it's
awesome.
still blowing up. I still get notifications on TikTok about this video. And so I'm like, I really should like resurface that and repost it. But that was kind of random. But I loved what you said. I know what it was. I loved what you said about the brand of like, okay, I'm a mom. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a mom. Like, that's a really important part of who I am. But that's not specific enough. And so that's why I need to start talking about boy mom and being a C-section mom, and obviously C-section awareness month, and like everything like that. And so that is, I think that's what I was going to say. I feel like there was something more like in depth, but maybe it's just gone for the night. Okay, so obviously you being a new distributor, you said at one point you didn't feel like, was you equipped? Yeah, that's what you said. You didn't feel equipped to like train new people and kind of lead new people, but obviously you're 6 months in. Obviously you are seeing the success. So when it is 6 months in, what advice would you have? And if you say consistency, you can say consistency, but like even outside of that, of like, what would you do or say to someone that's like just joined, or maybe they're a couple months in, or maybe they're even just a week in, and they're like, oh my gosh, what the heck do I do with this? You know what I mean? Like, what advice would you give them? Because obviously you've had the success, and that's why I wanted you on here, because it's great hearing from ambassadors. It's great hearing from all these people who've had like huge success. But sometimes people are like, oh, well, I can't be successful till I'm there. Like, no one's going to buy from me till I'm, a presidential, or obviously that doesn't like work like that. But like, you get the point of no one's going to buy from me till I do something huge. But obviously people have joined you. And so like, what would you say to them if they're like, I guess, having that mindset maybe?
That's like a big question. So I've like tried to think of that as I go. And honestly, I think the biggest thing I would say is take ownership for your business. That comes in so many different ways. That comes from taking ownership of your time and making the most of your time. That does not mean that you need to be on Facebook multiple hours a day or Instagram or anything like that, but prioritize your time, prioritize your tasks, do the things that are important, the things that are income producing um, throughout your days. Obviously, stay consistent. That comes with any business, whether you're in network marketing or if you are in a regular 9 to 5 job. Consistency matters for a business to be successful. And you have to take ownership of that, because you're the only person that's going to do it for your business. No one's going to do it for you. And I think that's really important to take the recognition of that at the beginning. I think I was like 2 or 3 months in before when Morgan asked me if I wanted to be in our leaders, which I thought was so crazy and so cool. But I think it's so important that you take ownership of your business to get in those leadership positions, because if you're constantly asking a million questions that you know you can find the answer to on your own, that is so important for you to take ownership and to use your resources. Yes, questions are amazing, and that is what we are all here for. But you also need to like take things in your own hands too. No one's going to work your business for you. Morgan has her business to run. Your enroller has their business to run. They're not going to do it for you, because they know that if you do it yourself, that you are going to feel so proud of yourself for doing it. And when you feel proud of yourself, that lights the fire to keep going. And yeah, I just take ownership of your business. Be the person that is so proud of your business, even if it's in a season of waiting and pouring in where you're not seeing a whole lot out of it. Continue to be proud of your business. Be proud of what you have learned, where you have come from. I know I've only been in this like 6 months, but I feel like I have had like highs, lows, and all the things in between, but I am still so proud, even in the rough days where I'm like, I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do. I feel like I haven't enrolled as many as normal. But yeah, just take ownership of what you're doing, your actions, your business, your distributors. Take action and just do what you know works, and do what the people above you have done for years that have seen so much success from it. Do the 6 list, develop, encourage the people under you, and encourage the people under you like in all different ways. Some people, like she said, you got to know what serves you. So if the girls under you or the distributors under you aren't readers, like I'm not a reader, and Morgan knew that from the beginning, that I am not necessarily, I don't have the time in this season of life to sit down and open up a book and read, because when I do, I will fall asleep because I'm just exhausted. And audiobooks are definitely more there for me. They've always been a thing that I've loved. So know the distributors under you, know what's good for them. If they like videos, send them development videos. If they like books, send them videos, or send them physical books. Like I just sent one of my distributors yesterday a book. Encourage them when they do things. And that doesn't mean like you need to spend $50 every time to send them a gift. Like I bought a gift for Lacey, who just went Ruby, and I just Amazoned a package to her house just as like a little exciting thing. So yeah, take ownership of your business, take ownership of the people on your team, encourage them, and love on your customers too.
I love it. And I didn't want you to feel like I was saying consistency is a bad thing, because consistency is obviously so important. But I was like, I feel like someone's like, oh, well, she said consistency again.
Yeah.
Consistency. So I wanted like get to realize, okay, consistency is important, but I'm so glad you hit on taking responsibility, because obviously since we are our own business, or we are our own boss, it is very easy to not do the things, especially when we're home or we're working or we've had a hard day or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to hit on that. And then you were talking about prioritizing your day. And so especially if you're a mom, or maybe even if you've just like got dogs, and like I'm not a dog mom, obviously I'm a cat mom, you can see my cat, but I have a dog park literally right outside of my apartment, and it drives me crazy because I see people like this sort of like playing with their dog, but they're like this, and I'm like, you are that whole world to that dog. And the reason I'm like mentioning this is because I'm talking about prioritizing your time. So like, even if I had a dog, I would not sit there on my phone doing this and that. Like, I just wouldn't do that. And so I do the same thing with my son. When I'm with my son, I am with my son. And so like, we literally have blackout time. So I will real quick probably do a boomerang on my story of what we're doing. I take a few pictures and then that's it. And my phone's away and it's done. And I'm just fully present. I'm fully with him. And so when she's saying prioritize your time, make sure you do that. Because otherwise you will start to resent the business and you will start to like be like, oh, well, this is taking too much time and it's doing this. And you're going to get frustrated when it doesn't need to. You don't have to get up at 4 a.m. like 5 a.m. Central. Well, you don't have to get up that early. I just do because my son's a morning baby and he gets up at like 5:30-ish Central times.
Oh
Yeah, it's insane. But I was a morning baby too, so I guess it's karma. But I like when he was younger, I would go like stay up later. Again, I found what worked for me. And so it's really just whatever is going to work for you in your season of life. But consistency is so important. Obviously, we just talked about that on the other Zoom, so I'm not going to like go into that. And I want to be really respectful of your time. So I'm going to go ahead and end this or stop the recording. Sorry, not end it.